Welcome to you to Brazil. My name is Frostbreath and this is the Misfits Racing League Tier 4, the final round of Season 5. Yes, it's finally happening, the epic showdown between the final, the top 3 in fact, who are still in the fight for the title. As you can see here, Polypunk, Grenade Goran and Alexander Jew, who are still having a shot at that driver's title in Tier 4. There are several scenarios possible for this to happen. Currently, Grenade Goran is 12 points behind Polypunk and Alexander Jew is 23 points behind Polypunk. So that means that Alexander has to win and Polypunk will not have to score. And Grenade Goran will have to be outscored by at least 11 or preferably 12 points in order for Alexander to claim the title. So that's quite the long shot. Grenade Goran, on the other hand, has a better chance of picking up that title from Polypunk in this final round. He needs to outscore him by at least 13 points. So if Polypunk comes first, second or third, Grenade Goran can win all he wants, but it will not matter. If Polypunk comes fourth, however, and Grenade Goran manages to win the race, then he will become the driver's champion. Anywhere below that, and it will be even easier for a Grenade Goran to claim that title. Polypunk will have to stay ahead of both of them in order to become the driver's champion of Tier 4. So there's plenty of possible scenarios for the title tonight. 3 drivers after 15 races who are still within the chance of claiming that big and epic trophy. So I think that's quite rare. Moving on to the Constructors title, you can see that Red Bull is still ahead of Ferrari. McLaren and Haas are pretty much out of contention for this Constructors Championship. So the fight is between Red Bull and Ferrari. There is almost 40 points difference. To be precise, there is 37 points difference. So if Ferrari can outscore Red Bull by 38 points or more, they will still be able to get into that Constructors Championship. We do know, though, that Victor Bina and Alexander Jew are both very consistent drivers, very fast as well. So it's going to be a really tough challenge for Ferrari to still get ahead of the Bulls tonight. We are in Brazil, as said before. And Brazil, we all know, is quite an epic track. Plenty of racing there. Always a lot of overtaking opportunities. And I am quite convinced we're going to see an epic cracker of a finale. Hopefully not as extreme as we saw in real life yesterday evening, which was a bit too much of the fireworks that we all like to see in a title fight. But this is a 3-way fight, so there's always the possibility of drama around the corner. Let's just hope that all of the cars fighting for the title will stay in one piece. Let's just put it at that. Stay in one piece and finish the race in whatever order. Let's hope I personally will not jinx or commentate curse any of them, all of the drivers anyway. If we're looking further down at the list, it's interesting to see that the fight for P4 isn't over either. Victor Bina, PW Jones and Kane are still able to claim 4th place. The battle for P7 is raging between Disaster and Trixem. And there is also several other places to claim, especially for Super Noodle Bagel if he manages to win the race. And IDJ, Baglao, Blind and Fairy Flame will not score tonight. He can still, actually Tatsis as well, he can still claim P14. So that would be interesting to see. IGJ is not present with us tonight, and I think we are missing another driver as well. I cannot figure out who it is yet, so we'll have to wait until we are at the pit lane in the Interlagos track. Also curious to see the weather. We all know the weather can be very interesting here in Brazil around the Interlagos lakes. Interlagos literally meaning in between the lakes. So there's a lot of factors that will come into play, and of course there's still tire strategy, but that will come into play later on. As we are now moving on to qualifying, the session is currently loading as I speak, and we are about to get underway, ladies and gentlemen, for the final qualifying session of the season. and the final qualifying session of this year for Tier 4. After this, we'll have a holiday break, and we'll be back in January with an all fresh new season. But this is the last week of Season 5, with all the tiers still having to race. Tier 4, as usual, being the first. And you'll hear me again this Thursday with Tier 1 and Dan Field, the best commentator curse duo you'll ever see in commentator history, at least in league racing. We'll be starting very, very soon. There are several drivers still waiting at the tire selection screen, and there we go. The loading is complete, so let's make a beautiful transition to the pit lane as soon as it appears. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the pit lane. There's some sort of announcer calling all kinds of things, probably in Brazilian, Spanish, Portuguese, whatever. Here we are, it's sunny. There appears to be a little bit of clouds in the sky. It's not fully blue sky yet. So, if anyone can update Weemit the weather, if one of the drivers could do so, or one of the guys watching a driver could do that, right? That would be great. We can already see a Haas leaving the pit lane. We see that Backlao is the other car not present tonight. So Helium will be in the Haas and Much will be in the AlphaTauri of IGJ. Let's see which Haas was the first to leave the pit lane. Will it be our title contender Grenade Goran, who had been in the lead for so long and has now finally been beaten by Polypunk in the standings, at least for a while? There we are. On his way then. The man in P2 in the driver standings. I have to get used to that for a while. I used to say that this man is the championship leader. No more though. As last week round, Polypunk won by quite a dominant margin. Even though Alexander was able to catch him up near the final stages of the race. Alexander had an extra time penalty added to his name after a report to the FIA. He is appealing it though. So he will try and get rid of the 10-second time penalty he has got added to his to his tally, which might see him advance back into second place, because now he's seen as coming home in third place at the Mexican Grand Prix, which of course is 3 points less on the board. And if he gets the appeal to be successful, he'll get the 3 points back, which will reduce the gap as we speak to 20 points. Sorry, no in-game sounds. Completely forgot to enable it. My apologies. Here we are then. Grenade Goran, as said, is on his way. Let's join him on board for his hot lap, as he will have some traffic further up the road. First sector already done. Several cars are behind him, either on their out lap or on their hot lap. I think Disaster is the first car behind him. On the medium tires, he is, as well as Much and Undertaker. Having a go on that tire as well. Only 3 cars on that tire though will mean that they'll likely go back to the softs in their second attempt, but they will save a set of soft tires. So purple middle sector obviously. As he's now coming onto the main straight, DRS will be going open very soon. And there he is, Polypunk, his main rival, on this hot lap as well. He comes across the line to claim a first place with a 1:07.383 for the time being. Let's switch to Polypunk, who will come across the line as well now, doing a 1:07.0, quite a bit faster than his rival, who is now moved to P2. Disaster then slotting in his medium tires of 1:08.1, and XTXP probably not having a great lap himself in P5 with a 1:10. Much then slotting in at a 1:08.5. Super Noodle Bagel with a quite impressive time there, 1:07.8. And now let's switch to the qualifying beast in Alexander Jew, who's about to finish his hot lap. Let's see what he can do, very close to the wall, already pushing quite hard. And there he is then, starting off with a 1:07.3. We've seen this happen from Alexander Jew more often. That his first lap is quite easy going, and then later on he suddenly puts up an amazing time. I wouldn't be surprised if he dives well into the 1:06 later on in this session. It's almost like he's immediately having a go again, because his first sector is purple and that's his lap invalidated. It was almost like he was having 2 goes in a row, which is quite impressive considering his batteries nearly ran out. A few drivers still in the pit lane. Actually, Polypunk, Grenade Gorn and Disaster moving back into the pit lane, and Tats is still waiting for his first go. Big Turbina, that is Alexander's teammate, who, as we know, really wants to claim the Constructors title. He is no longer able to claim the Driver's title, of course, but all he wants is to claim title for his team and to help his teammates as much as possible. Now this is the ideal teammate. We all know that Hamilton said that Bottas is the perfect teammate, but Big Turbina, you'd like to have him as your teammate because he's fast. He won't back down from a fight, but if he knows you're going for the title, he will help you in every way he can. He's also known as the Raikkonen of Tier 4. Not entirely sure why, but that's what people say apparently. So there he is then, purple first sector, 16.692, looking pretty quick there. He's going to push his teammate to the limit, and I'm quite sure that is really what Alexander wants, to have a strong teammate that can challenge him for a potential pole position. So first sector is the fastest at the moment then for Big Turbina. The man from, I have to say this correctly, Latvia, not Estonia, that's the first of the Balkan states. Latvia, the man from Latvia, into the second sector, also a purple one, a 50.855. I like how you keep calling me different names, Noel. Now I'm front breath. So that's a GG. I'm no longer frostbite, so that's nice. There we are. And he is not fastest overall, but he is faster than his teammate. There were 3 purple sectors, so the game probably got one of them wrong. Big Turbina then slotting in at second place with a 1:07.2. In the meanwhile, several other drivers having set their lap times. Trixem, for example, slotting in front of his teammate Kane with 1 millisecond in between them. So that's really, really close together there. Most drivers having set a lap time now, with only Blind and Tetsis still in the pit lane, waiting for a proper opportunity to get going. Let's see the best. We'd like to see. This detail is a little bit interesting. You know it's Frostbite. Okay. I'm curious to see what nickname you'll come up next time. Polypunk once again back on an outlap and getting ready for his second attempt, with Big Turbina being nearly 3/10 behind him at the moment, with a 1:07.283. So there he goes then, the man who can claim the title tonight if he manages to outscore either Grenade Gorn and Alexander Jew in any way possible. He doesn't want to finish outside of the point, because that's not the most ideal situation. 1/10 up on his previous time. That means, of course, a purple first sector. He's gonna go into 1:06 if he keeps this up. So looking very, very strong. McLaren ahead of him, who's will have to move out of the way very soon. And he does so. Well, it's a bit late if I'm honest. But he's moved out of the way regardless. There he comes. Second sector. Also purple. 2/10 up at the moment. Wow, looking really quick. Coming across the line very soon, as Alexander has already invalidated his lap, so he's going to have to try again. Grenade Goran currently on a hot lap as well. 2.6 seconds slower already. Polypunk coming across the line. It's 1:06.8. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Grenade Goran actually has improved his lap time, is now in P2 with a 1:07.2. Oh dear, he's going really wide to move out of the way of several drivers. Let's see which drivers those are. Super Noodle Bagel is one of them, for example. Currently sitting in 12th place, still looking for his first point, even in the finale here in Brazil. So let's see what this man can do tonight. Hopefully Brazil will be his race to score some points. He's been really unlucky, either that or his strategy didn't really work out that well. So there he comes then, onto the final sector, DRS detection zone. Gone past there and into the DRS zone itself. There, past the pit lane entry, very close to the wall, as near to the track limits as possible, improving to P11, currently almost 9/10 behind the pole sitter, Polypunk. That's a 1:07.7. Alexander now having a proper go, his second attempt on this set of tires. Well, and McLaren moves out of the way again. We also have a McLaren standing still. That is actually the car of Kane, having a spin out of the, well, what you could consider the final real corner of this track. No good hot lap, outlap, sorry, for him. So he's lucky it's an outlap though. So he can still start his hot lap properly here, and he does so. As Alexander is about to cross the line. Will he improve? He probably will. And there you are at 1 minute 7.0. Thing is though, Polypunk is still faster at the moment, so the man in the Ferrari is absolutely flying tonight. He's able to beat Alexander Jew for now, but you never know what kind of surprises this man has in store in his Red Bull car. Now, with the four-door sedan, who just passing Alexander Jew there, slowed down already. Currently sitting 10th, oh, 1 minute 1 minute 7.6, as we now have two Red Bulls behind one another. I'm not entirely sure if one of them is giving the toe to the other. Might have been, and that we have kind of missed it there. Either way, Big Turbina then on the second attempt to settle lap time here. I do believe my game is lagging a little bit tonight. I'm not entirely sure why that is. Sometimes my computer works great, and sometimes it's just absolutely terrible. And tonight, I'm afraid, is one of those examples where the frame rate just isn't consistent. There he is 4/10ths quicker at the moment than anybody else, than his own time, which means he's potentially gonna end up on the pole position. Kane improving to a 1 minute 7.1, now sitting P3, but Big Turbina looking really fast in the second sector. 4/10ths up, and it is a 1 minute 6.8, but just about 2/100ths of a second slower than Polypunk, very nearly claiming provisional pole, but ahead of his teammate again. Big Turbina looking really quick. His teammate said on the interviews recently that this man has improved greatly over the season. So had he been this fast all season, I think he could have been a title contender. I'm sure we're going to see more of this man next season if he stays in Tier 4. Not entirely sure how that works with switches from and to other tiers. Like, does the top 3 move to the next tier, something like that? I'm going to try and quickly change some settings in the hope that it will help. I have changed a few of them, if I'm honest. For example, this one, as well as several others. I have changed this one as well. Okay, let's hope the game won't crash. It didn't. It did lag a little bit, which is normal. So let's hope it has improved the performance of the game. It looks like it hasn't made a lot of difference. Anyway, a yellow flag in a second and third sector. We are having a very slow Ferrari of Tatsis, who's currently sitting only P19 with a 1 minute 8.7. Definitely not helping for the constructors fight. Polypunk carrying the bulk of the points for the team here, with Tatsis almost at the back of the grid. Only XTXP behind him, and I'm quite sure that the time of a 1 minute 9.9 from the Alpine is not a time that will show his pace. So then, Tatsis is gonna have a try. No, he isn't, because his battery is as good as empty. Is he gonna head back into the pit lane then? The second Ferrari. There he is. Pretty much every single driver now back in the lane, as Disaster is having an attempt on currently almost 4/10 slower in the first sector alone. He is very close to pole position though. He's doing really well tonight. He's just being plagued by so much bad luck. Otherwise, I'm quite sure he would have had a great shot at the title. Now 2.4 seconds down. So this is definitely not a hot lap attempt from him. Behind him, oh dear! Behind him, I was about to say it's Helium, but he just crashed his car into the final straight there. In the wall he went. The reserve driver teammate of Grenade Goran has smashed his front wing and is forced to go back into the pit lane. So that is the first accident of the night. Let's hope that will not be a precedent of things to come. He's gonna have to slow down really early in order not to get a warning for speeding in the pit lane. So that means only one driver is technically out on track, as several others are now starting to join him for the final attempt with 4 minutes remaining in the qualifying. Undertaker now, I think, on a hot lap, if I see this correctly. Definitely, yes, his battery is draining. Behind him, Super Noodle Bagel now in 14th place. And behind him, in turn, is Kane in P5 at the moment, getting ready for his final attempt. So Undertaker hoping to improve his time from P17 on the grid here, to get a bit closer to the top 10 at least. If he manages to improve by 1.1 seconds, he'll be on pole position. But he's gonna have to be absolutely smashing this track then. He's only 1/10 up, which is currently about enough for, well, still the same position, really. So it's not really helping him much at the moment, but there are several drives really close together, just above him. But he is heading back into the pit lane, so that's his attempt over. Let's switch to Kane, the man who is also really fast in qualifying as well as in the race. Already having won a race in Singapore a few weeks back. Getting ready for his hot lap attempt here in the Interlagos track. There he goes then. The hot lap has started. He'll have to encounter some traffic on his way onto the second sector though. Look at that. First sector, 15 milliseconds faster only, and we have another yellow flag in sector 2, but it looks like it's slow going Alpine there. Making way for another driver, I believe it's Super Noodle Bagel, who are trying to move out of harm's way. And there he is. Still in 14th place, 34 milliseconds slower in his previous time. But there you have it then, 2/10 quicker at the moment, which would be enough to lift him up all the way to P11. He spun. Oh dear, I completely missed that one. So that was what the yellow flag is for. He's gonna get a bit of a tow there. No, he isn't, because he's sticking to the inside line to be as fast as he possibly can. There he is. P11 then for Super Noodle Bagel, which is quite a nice place to be. Let's quickly switch back to Kane. Oh dear, he's invalidated his lap. So either he's gonna have to go again or go around once more in the hopes of still having enough time to set another hot lap. What will he do though? DRS is on and the battery is draining, so I think he's going to try right now with only 30% remaining on this part of the track. It's going to be a tough one if I'm honest. Anyway, Alexander here. Oh, he's gone really, really wide. I think he was on a hot lap, but he got quite some traffic ahead of several cars who are getting ready for their hot laps. In fact, Polypunk. It looks like he isn't improving either, but will he have another go? He's got his chance now. There he goes. He's only about 2/100ths quicker than Big Turbina, who's getting ready for his hot lap, and he just actually started it there. And it looks like Polypunk is actually having a try here again. 5/100ths of a second slower at the moment. So it's currently a challenge. Polypunk, Alexander and Grenade Goran only in 7th place. Let's look at this man. He's invalidated his lap, but if he's lucky, yeah, he's already fully charged his battery again. So we can have another try then. We have a yellow flag again. It's Trixen going really slow. Like immensely slow. I'm not entirely sure what's happened here. He might be out of fuel. I think he's out of fuel. Oh dear. He's going so slow, this is not normal. I think the man's out of fuel. There's no other way. Grenade Goran then, on his final real attempt to beat Polypunk to pole position. But the man has already headed back into the pit lane, he's given up. Polypunk has given up, so that means Alexander Jew can have a go then at pole position as well as Big Turbina. But he's already invalidated his lap. And I think qualifying is as good as over. There you are. Big Turbina actually manages to make it to the line just in time to start another attempt. So he's exceptionally lucky. He beat it by only a few 100ths of a second. The checkered flag there. As Alexander is now having a purple second sector. He's flying now. The qualifying beast can claim pole position from Polypunk, who was not able to improve. Here he comes then, getting a bit of a tow from the Aston Martin. No, he can't, because he's heading into the pit lane. There he goes then, across the line. He does once again claim pole position for his Red Bull team, which is great for him and for the Constructors title. There you go, he did it again. At the final opportunity, he once again struck with all his might. And here comes Grenade Goran, who's only 3/10ths behind Alexander, only able to improve to P6, so it's a terrible place to be for him if he wants to challenge for the title. Big Turbina then is no longer improving. He's 2.3 seconds slower at the moment, so it's definitely not going to be a pole position for him. But he will sandwich Polypunk together with his teammates. So while the Ferrari is definitely on the front row, he will be in quite some predicament with 2 Red Bulls around him. There we are then. That looks like it's qualifying over. Yeah, Disaster is heading back into the pit lane as well. Trixam is literally cutting the grass in order to get back to the pit lane there. So there you are. Once again, Alexander manages to pit Polypunk to pole position. Say that 5 times in a row quickly. By 16 milliseconds. You're not believing it, but it is true. 16 milliseconds is what separates P1 and P2. That is how close the title fight is in this tier. And that's it, qualifying over. So let's, as soon as we're able to quickly go through the list. And I do think the performance of the game has definitely increased. I do not see any frame rate dips any longer. Any frames are no longer getting missed due to some lag. But here we are. Alexander Jew on pole position. Polypunk by 16 milliseconds in P2. Victor Bina by 37 milliseconds. All of the top 3 is within half a tenth of one another, which is insane. Helium then in P4, the reserve driver in the Haas, looking really quick. Disaster in 5th, Grenade Goran in P6, Trixam starting from 7th, Kane P8. I don't think he'll be entirely satisfied. Lars will be happy in P9, Much in 10th, and here is the rest of your list, your grid, that is. Tats is then starting in last place. Bad news for Ferrari. So then, the race. It still looks like it's sunny, so I am guessing it's a dry race. But once again, if any of the drivers is watching, please let me know the weather for the race, because some rain would be very interesting, especially for the title fight. Because that usually shows several other drivers being able to go to the front. Last week around in Mexico, we had some rain in the final few laps, I believe. Or was that in Tier 1? I keep mixing those up. Either way, there was some rain in either of the tiers. I think it was Tier 1. And Tier 4 as well, might have been. Oh well. Anyway, on to the race in Brazil here. Tire strategy, of course, the top 10 will be starting on the soft tires. And I do know the softs aren't really that bad in Brazil. So soft to hard, I think, is an opportunity. And if you're really careful, you might even try a soft to medium strategy here. If I recall correctly. At least that's how it worked in the previous game, and it worked really well. So here we are. The entire grid. Let's switch to the tires. As you can see, most of the drivers starting on the soft tires, with the exception of 8 drivers, all starting outside of the top 10, of course. So within the top 10, that's everybody on the soft. Outside of the top 10, we've got 4-door sedan and PW Jones starting on the soft tires. So they'll be going very aggressive early on, be able to claim as many positions as they possibly can to get their cars into the top 10. And Mercedes especially will need that. Both of their cars are outside of the top 10. Alpine as well. Aston Martin too. There is no Aston Martins in the top 10 either. So they'll have to fight for it. As for Williams, 1 car in the top 10. Lars, blind in P17 at the moment, with the beautiful hashtag "Thank you, Frank." A sign of respect for the passing of the old team principal of Williams, Frank Williams. Predicted pit stop strategy, as I said, a 1-stop is possible from the soft to the hards, and if you're really careful, I think it's possible to go to the mediums. And of course, if you start in the mediums, that will be the other way around. 36 laps though is a long shot. It's just about as much as the Mexican Grand Prix. It's actually the exact same amount. Oh dear, did we saw a bit of contact there between the Haas and the McLaren of Grenade Gordon and Trixam? No, that might have been me. Or at least, I'm saying that wrong, it might have been the camera view. Cars then getting ready to go onto the grid. onto their starting position, and soon we'll be having lights out as soon as the Ferrari of Tatsis has positioned himself onto the grid. So it's not a Ferrari sandwich then, with one of them at the front and one of them at the back. It is a Ferrari front row though, for Polypunk. Just waiting for Tatsis now, as I said, to finish up the grid, and then we'll be seeing the lights for the last time in Tier 4 this year and this season going out, and we'll be on our way. Here we are then. I cannot see the lights, which is unfortunate. There we are, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and it is pretty much go time. Looks like a pretty good start for both in the top 2, in the top 3, top 4 in fact. Alexander defending the outside. You already have a crash at the back of the grid, several drivers involved into it. XTXP being one of the victims. Already a lot of drama, several cars going off track a bit further back. So that means down here we already have several drivers fighting for position there. Much carnage already, even before the first corner then. But Alexander then being able to hold position as Grenade Goran moves up to P5. And it looks like here is the place where drama is happening. Another yellow flag. Another crash here happening. Lars retiring. And oh my god, it's just going horribly wrong. Everybody is hitting one another, and Trixam being a victim of many collisions there. Oh my goodness, what an insane race start there at the back of the grid. Already Lars retired from the race, who started in the top 10. He's already out, so that's terrible. Safety car, of course, no surprises there. After so many collisions, it's absolutely insane. So many things happening at the same time. We saw Williams, that must have been Lars. I'm not entirely sure how he ended up there, but he must have been having an absolute disaster of a start. As Fabry Frame and PW Jones are getting a bit confused there over who's going to have what position. But look at the start that PW Jones has made. Let's go to positions gained here. Fabry Flame already gained 9 positions. PW Jones gained 5. Kane is forced to go into the pit lane, it seems. Either for a new wing, or he's just going to go bold on a strategy. He is going to go bold on a strategy. This man has decided to just change his tires, because why not? So then, race start carnage. Several drivers headed into the pit lane. I think everybody behind him is changing a wing. Quite sure of that one, because all of them are having serious problems there at the opening lap. That means as well XTXP and 4-door sedan, both Alpines not having a great race start there. Blind also involved in the carnage. I wish we were able to replay several things after the race start, because that would be great. There they are then. Tatsis also replaces front wings. 4-door sedan, after having to wait for his teammate in the pit lane, is finally exiting as well. Fortunately for him, it's a safety car situation. You looked away for a second, yeah, and half the field pits. That's because half the field was involved in about the same accident happening from P12 and lower. Yeah, there's a lot of things happened even at the race start. Several drivers were crashing into one another, XTXP being the biggest victim there. Fortunately for him, he's back into P15 after all the pit stops happened. So let's see who've been the biggest gainers. Grenade Goran moved into P4. His teammate fallen back into P9 at the moment. Probably because he did a quick pit stop, I think. At the top 3 nothing's changed, but other than that a lot of things have changed. The biggest winners of them all are Super Noodle Bagel. There you have him then. He's now in P5, all starting down from 12th. So that's a fantastic start for him. He really needs this if he wishes to claim some points. He'll be really happy about this, especially since he's on a medium tire at the moment. He can just stretch them a bit longer now, hoping to go on a softer compound later this race. Fabric Flame, the biggest winner of them all, from P18 to P7. Looking very good for Aston Martin there, because the other car is in the top 10 as well. Alberto Perez, oh dear, what's happened here? Helium is spun out. Oh dear, Helium is standing at the opposite direction on the track. And he's got damage to his front wing again, so probably pushed a bit too hard or touched the curbs a bit too heavy. And the reserve driver in the Haas is having an absolute disastrous night here. That is correct, Bito. Grenade needs to outscore Polypunk by at least 13 points to claim that title. At the moment, that isn't happening. Alexander Jew can win this race, but Polypunk can easily stay in P2 because Alexander is 23 points behind Polypunk at the moment. Due to the extra 10-second penalty added to his tally after the Mexican Grand Prix. Otherwise, it would be a 20 points difference. Safety car in this lap as the field is now bunched up again. Alexander then leading away. Polypunk and Big Turbina. Grenade, Goran, Super Noodlebaker, Disaster, Fabry Flame, PW Jones, Perez, and Undertaker. That's the top 10 that Alexander is leading away. I think he's going to do a Max Verstappen and wait until the very finish line to get going. Because that's the best thing to do. Otherwise, you'll have a massive, very, very, very long tow up all the way until the first corner. And that's not really what you want if you're in P1. Of course, if you're below P1, that's exactly what you want. But that's, I'm quite sure, not what Alexander will do. So I have to be careful there. As already 4 people are having penalties. Several drivers. Somebody's heading into the pit lane. That's Helium, of course. And we have restarted then. Fabry Flame already made up a place. Getting past, no, Disaster managed to stay ahead in for the time being because the tires were a bit warmer there and getting a bit of better exit there. So Disaster is now pressuring Super Noodlebaker for 5th place after the AlphaTauri had some luck with all the crashes and carnage happening. But so far it looks like this restart's gone a bit better for every car except for XCXP, who somehow is at the back of the grid again. So then Disaster trying to go around the outside of Super Noodlebaker in the second sector there. It's very close, it's very tight. He's still not managed to do so. Super Noodlebaker doing some amazing defending there. Look at Disaster. He's now finally managing to get past in his Alfa Romeo then. Super Noodlebaker now back down to P6. In the meanwhile, a bit further back, look at these guys go side by side. Alberto Perez and Trixam into the end of the second sector there. Some very close racing at the moment. That's not particularly a place where you can overtake, but he managed to do so. Now up into 10th place, right behind his teammate. Back at the front though, Polypunk trying to stay close to Alexander. And now setting the fastest lap of the race because of the restart. Super Noodlebaker in the meanwhile being side by side with PW Jones. Can he outbrake him for P6 PW Jones? Yes, he can. And that means Super Noodlebaker will now be falling down to 7th place. That is, of course, if PW Jones can keep his car on track. And guess what? He can. And now the McLarens are in trouble because Fabry Flame is trying to stay ahead of both of them. And now Super Noodlebaker is getting pressurized. Oh dear, Fabry Flame smashing a sign. Trying to keep his car in one piece. And oh dear, that's contact and he spins out. That's a crash. And his front wing damaged. No, it's actually not damaged, at least not from what I can see. But it's definitely some very tight and very close racing there indeed. Between all of these cars, especially this group being very bunched up together there. Kieran leading away the field there. Another man spinning out. Oh dear, it is Super Noodlebaker again. I have completely commentator cursed this guy. So that's a shame. Fallen down to P17. So that's absolutely terrible. No good news then for the AlphaTauri. After having, oh dear, that's another spin there for a blind. Who's the other way around on the track. So many things happening at once. In the meanwhile though, DRS now enabled and Polypunk really pressurizing Alexander Jew for the race lead. He will have DRS now as it has been enabled. This is the 3rd lap after the restart. So he's going to have his first attempt. Big Turbina is having DRS, but he's not able to follow close enough. For now though, Polypunk having to stay behind. Let's enable telemetry to see the batteries of both of these cars. Polypunk is used a bit more, but it's very close between these drivers. As Big Turbina is doing everything he can to get past Polypunk. Helium then moving up several positions in the rear of the grid, mostly due to pit stops happening. Super Noodlebaker has had damage to his front wing, so he'll have to go into the pit lane as well to switch his wing. Deary me, I'm almost out of breath. I know my name is Frost Breath, but I'm almost out of that breath. So there you have it. Grenade Goran then making up several places now in P4 at the moment. Slowly starting to pressurize Big Turbina for P3. He'll have to get ahead of Polypunk and hoping that the man in the Ferrari ends up P4, which is still a possibility. But the thing is though, Grenade's Goran battery is starting to run dry. And Big Turbina is really starting to have a go at Polypunk. Will he have to try? No, he just had a little look. Having the purple final sector there because this man's really starting to get up to speed. Polypunk then having a great exit out of turns 1, 2 and 3. But it looks like 4/10 is not going to be enough in this second straight here to get an actual go unless he breaks in really deep. He's having a thought, but he's not going to try. He knows it is not good enough. Trixem then side by side with PW Jones trying to claim P6, and he manages to do so. Now PW Jones back into 7th place, but still though, made up 8 places since the race start. So no complaints there for the Mercedes driver with his aggressive soft tire strategy outside of the top 10. Whew. Bit of a breather there. Until we get back to the main straight, that is, of course. Because, good lord. Undertaker, in the meanwhile, having a bit of a... Oh dear, it's Trixam. He's retired from the session, smashed himself into the wall, and that's the 2nd safety car. Trixam is out of the race. A big hit for McLaren's hopes to stay within P3 in the Constructors title, as Haas was right behind them. It's not looking good for McLaren now. And it looks like, yes, there we are, both Red Bulls heading into the pit lane. Helium getting a drive-through penalty. Big Turbina having to slam on his brakes as Polypunk is slowing down in order to not crash into Alexander. So let's see how the updated double stack will look. As the patch notes lately stated that a double stack is now going a lot faster. And that definitely is going a lot faster. Look at that. You're no longer losing as much time, but he's having to wait. Oh, there he is. Oh dear, we're having some desync, I'm afraid. A little bit though, fortunately. And the man in the lead is now Kane, followed by Undertaker, and interestingly, 4-door sedan, who we rarely see in the top 3. Much the reserve driver in the AlphaTauri, now up to P4. And the title fighters are, oh dear, they're right behind one another. Alexander, Polypunk, and Grenade Goran are now P5, 6, and 7. Uh-oh. I think that's a drunk cam that we're watching and well there in the pit lane. Somebody, or that, or somebody holding a really heavy camera trying to film them while they were behind the building. That's the other possibility, of course. So here we are then, the 3 title contenders right behind one another. Will we see some fireworks? In the meanwhile, let's switch to the tires. Let's see what strategies everybody's chosen. There's a few different strategies going on there. The top 4, of course, not having stopped because there's only 8 laps past, although they have stopped, of course. Yes, so they had that big crash at the race start, all 4 of them having damage to their wings at least. And now they are in the top 4, so that's quite incredible. Their tires still relatively fresh. The title contenders, all 3 of them, the hard tires. Disaster as well. Big Turbina, though, looks like he's going to go aggressive, trying to claim places from the guys ahead of him, hoping to pressurize Grenade Goran and Polypunk. Alexander can still claim 2nd place if he outscores Grenade Goran with plenty of points as well. We need to think here for a bit. Let's quickly switch to the standings and see how many points Alexander needs to claim 2nd place. So that's only 11 points difference. So that's not too difficult for him to then claim that 2nd position. As it stands, P5 and P7, that's a points difference of just 4 points. So that's not enough for Alexander to claim 2nd place. He's only 2 points ahead of Polypunk right now, which is also not enough. Polypunk here is the man who can take it the easiest and will have to do the least aggressive moves here if he wants to stay in the title fight and win tonight. So then, 2 drivers retired from this race. Trixam, after having smashed his car into the wall one way or another. Lars, after being involved in a 1 first lap carnage with at least 8 cars who had damage to their cars. Absolutely terrible. XTXP has fallen behind very, very far. Still in last place. He's racking up those pit stops. Let's have a little look at how many stops everybody's made already. Yeah, there you go. XTXP already having made 3 pit stops. That's absolutely incredible. The only one who hasn't made a pit stop, believe it or not, is Undertaker, but he's got a 5-second penalty. As well as Blind and Helium, of course, still with the drive-through. So then, Undertaker is come off best, stayed out of trouble, no damage to his wings, and therefore now the only man who hasn't made a pit stop. He hasn't had the need to do so just yet. Tires though, not the newest anymore. Cars around him having slightly fresher tires. Many cars behind him having hard tires, which are much fresher, with the exception of Big Turbina, Alberto Perez and Fabry Flame. And of course XTXP is going very aggressively. He'll not make it until the end of the race on those tires, with 26 laps still to go after this one. This will, by the way, quickly allow me to get a drink. So I'll be back in a moment. There we go. As I said a few weeks ago, a glass of water does miracles. Especially when you're having to commentate this much action on track. I think the safety car is going to come in at the end of this lap, as the field is now pretty much bunched up together again. XTXP is about to get to the back of Fabric Flame, and then we'll be going again. There we are, safety car in this lap. Now Kane will be leading the field, and he'll have a mad trio of title contenders a few places behind him. So he's probably going to do the same strategy, wait as long as he can until the line and then get going. So slow and steady, weaving a bit to get as much heat into the tires as he possibly can. And then it's go, go, go once more, and there he goes. He's going a bit earlier than I had thought, and the others were caught off guard by that. So that means he's got quite the impressive restart, as four-door sedan is trying to go around the outside of Undertaker, not succeeding, and it's a spin! It's, oh no, it's Polypunk and Tatsis! It is the title contender as well as Grenade Goran, both of them spun out, now both outside of the points. It's absolute disaster for both of these cars then. The Ferrari and the Haas spinning out of the race restart. The one coming off best then, Alexander Jew, what's happened there? And someone needs to have a little look at the replay. So now it's starting from zero, literally 0 points for both these drivers. As it stands though, Alexander Jew will not get enough points to claim the driver's title. He'll have to win now in order to claim the driver's title still. But here we go, this is the scenario that was least likely, and it has happened. Please somebody link a replay of the restart, because it was a bit further behind in the view, and I was focused on the front, of course. But that's terrible, terrible, terrible news for Polypunk and Grenade Goran. We'll now have to hope for another safety car, as Much is now pressurizing Undertaker for second place. Four-door sedan was not able to do the job. Much though is able to do the job, now moving into the lead and trying to chase down Kane, who's pulled quite a gap, 2 seconds already after 1 lap of restart. Alexander now will have to make his mad way past these cars ahead of him, who are on all the tires. He knows now that if he wins this race and the race finishes like this, so Polypunk and Grenade Goran outside of the points, he will still be able to claim the driver's title. This is going to be a nail-biting 24 laps until the finish for all 3 drivers. Polypunk already moved ahead of Fabric Flame, back into 14th place. We're going to have to keep a close eye on all 3 drivers, which is going to be hard as they are pretty far apart now. So stick with me and make sure to keep me up to date. If I do miss out on something, please do let me know. Because many things are happening now. XTXP and Alberto Perez, for example, fighting for P12. XTXP is having an absolutely amazing restart from last place, now already into 12th after the second safety car has come in. The soft tires are doing wonders for him. Thing is though, he will not be able to run until the end of the race. DRS now enabled. Four-door sedan is now pressurizing Undertaker again, this time for 3rd place. But look at that car behind him, it's Alexander trying to get past all 3 of them. Chasing down the leader of the race as soon as he gets past them. He'll have to go very fast though, as all of them having DRS. There's no way around the outside or the inside for the Red Bull driver yet, but he's gonna have to be very, very quick. He'll have to keep everybody behind him as well. Spanish master plan, yeah, I think if that's the case, Alberto Perez and Fabric Flame have helped out Polypunk a little bit there, as he's already in P13 and getting closer to the top 10. If you can score at least 2 points, I think you'll still have the driver's title. If that is a 23-point difference, then we'll have to look at who's won more races, which I do not know from the top of my head. So if anyone in the chat could have a quick look at who's won more races in case they end equal, Polypunk or Alexander. I think it's Polypunk who's won more then. So yeah, let's see. 5 races by Polypunk, 4 by Alex. So if Alex wins, It's also equal. This is an interesting scenario. If Alexander wins now and Polypunk comes home P9, they'll be on equal points and on equal wins. So what then? That's a scenario you've probably never seen before. There he goes then, side by side now with Blind, and trying to claim P12 for himself. His battery pretty much dead. He's absolutely raging in his car at the moment. And oh yeah, there's 1 point for the fastest lap, so they can have a go on that one as well. Good point there, ping pong fans. Well spotted. If they, let's just say that neither of them claims that one, you'll need to look at second places. Yes, of course. Yeah, thank you, Brainstew, for that input. Deary me. My god, there he is then. Polypunk is about to re-enter the top 10 with his teammate ahead of XTXP, who is stuck behind the other Ferrari now. He's now sandwiched between two red cars. You'll probably not like that. He knows the title contender is behind him. Grenade Goran in the meanwhile, still stuck in 16th place. He's no longer able to get back up, so his title hopes are shrinking per lap. And meanwhile, though, Alexander is having a go at Undertaker, who nearly loses control of his car. But there he is then, Alexander now into 4th place, trying to chase down the podium. The fight is on. Undertaker, in the meanwhile, under pressure from his own teammate. I don't think he's going to make too much trouble of that one. But Big Turbina also side by side, trying to get past the Alfa Romeo as well. He's still side by side, though, in the second sector there. The left-hander here, can he stick with him? He's getting a better exit there. Still trying to go around the outside. Big Turbina trying to stay with his teammate, and still side by side. Oh my goodness, they're still going for it. There you go then. Big Turbina up into 6th place. And there we have Tatsis letting Polypunk pass, not making a big of an issue there. He knows Polypunk is fighting for the title, so no big of a deal there for his teammate, as Polypunk is now in 11th place and he's chasing down XTXP, trying to get back into the top 10. Look at those cars ahead. They're not very far ahead just yet. And in the meanwhile, Alexander is trying to get past 4-door sedan. He's succeeding so. And there he is then, into P3. Alexander moves. Now 15 points more than Polypunk has. You'll have to get into 1st place though if he wants to get the championship title. And that 1st place is in total 4.9 seconds away from him. Wow, what a race. Incredible. Bitto even shaking, he just said in chat. That's how exciting this race here. Wow. Yes, Alexander must win the race. And Polypunk must not come higher than 9th place. He also has a pending appeal that, yeah, very good point there. That would be 3 more points even. As now Tatsis and Blind are fighting for 12th place. And Tatsis having to give in for now. And Grenade Goran is finally starting to make up places as well. Now moving into 14th place, but he's taking way too long. Polypunk is very far ahead. Speaking of which, Polypunk is back into the points, ladies and gentlemen. He's moved past Super Noodle Bagel into 10th place, as 2 cars ahead of him are fighting as well for 9th and 8th place. XTXP already into 8th. Kieran now back into 9th place. Alexander has immediately closed the gap to much. He can technically finish this race as his hard tires are only 8 laps old, and the tires ahead of him, both of their tires are 14 laps old. I don't think they'll make it to the end. His tires are getting better and better, while theirs are getting worse. Polypunk then in 10th place now, and he's already on the back of Kieran, claiming 9th very soon, probably. Yes, Polypunk's Vettel comeback. Somebody's gonna have to make a summary of this one. He's already going on the inside, a very dangerous move there, but he knows he's got very little time. And as Alexander is slowly crawling closer to 2nd place, he's gonna have a go because Much is not having DRS there. Using his battery, ooh, almost losing the car there. Very twitchy, very oversteery, very much on the inside, and we have another red flag. It's Tatsis. It's not. I saw the Ferrari there for a moment. I thought it was Polypunk, but it wasn't. As Polypunk is now moving ahead of Kieran into 9th place. Alexander have moving ahead into 2nd place. Polypunk now on 2 points. Alexander on 19. The difference 16 points. A virtual 5th place. Yeah, it's a good point because so many drivers ahead of him still have to pit. But this is really not what he wants. He's going to have to use a lot of his tires to gain these positions. Grenade Goran then, still stuck behind Alberto Perez, still stuck in 14th place. As I said, his title hopes are shrinking by the laps. We already saw signs of cracking under pressure from Grenade Goran, especially last week, as he ended outside of the top 10 as well. And now once again spun out and no points in Brazil. Alexander then eating away at the gap that Kane has. Only 3.8 seconds remain. There were about 4.5 of them at the beginning of this lap. He's going berserk. Somebody told Kieran not to fight him, I see. Polypunk now putting under pressure Undertaker, who was 2nd place when the safety car came in. CEST XP has already moved into 7th place on his awesome soft tires, but those are not lasting much longer. Will Polypunk already have a go at Disaster? The camera doesn't really work with us here. No, he's sticking behind for the time being. Another yellow flag as Helium heads into the pit lane and retires from this race. That's going to hurt Haas's chances of overtaking McLaren in the Constructors, especially now that Kane is in the lead and Grenade is outside of the points. They are still fighting for 3rd place. Hello McBlurk, welcome to the stream. Good to see you, my man. So then, I think this is easily the most exciting race I've ever seen in a league race, ever. Another yellow flag as Tatsis is spun out once more. It looks like Ferrari's Constructors title hopes are over and Red Bull's pretty much got it in the bag. 3.4 seconds for Alexander, as Much is trying to get P3 from four-door sedan. I believe it's the other way around actually. Four-door sedan trying to put under pressure the AlphaTauri, is now Big Turbinas with them as well on the slightly fresher medium tires. While he thought his strategy would be more aggressive, he's not as fast as Alexander on the hards. Now this is a 4-way fight for P3 between four-door sedan, Much, Big Turbina and Disaster. Oh dear, Much moving to the inside there. Thought of having a go four-door sedan. Not succeeding yet though. Another yellow flag. Tatsis just isn't having a good time. Things are starting to settle down a little bit. We've had the biggest crashes and disasters happened already. The biggest of them being Polypunk and Grenade Goran spinning out of control into turn 1 after the safety car restart, and Alexander not being involved in that one at all. So, wow. Yeah, McBlurk, if you're able, you're gonna have to rewind a little bit into the stream and see what happened at the second safety car restart. That was absolutely insane. Anyway, into 10th place, Super Noodle Bagel is at the moment. Kieran trying to get that place from him. No DRS for Super Noodle Bagel there, so Kieran's gonna have a go. He's very, very, very close behind. He's gonna have a move down the inside. This is the fight for a single point, and Super Noodle Bagel really wants that point. But he's having a bit of bad luck there. Already spun once and damaged his front wing because of it. So that's Super Noodle Bagel now down into 11th. He's still able to pressurize Kieran for the time being though. Only 3/10 behind in the second sector is very good news for him. That means he's got the pace to stick with him. Really, really rooting for this guy, but by doing so I've already commentator cursed him, so maybe I should just say that he won't get points, then maybe he will. You know, use reverse logic and stuff. Polypunk in the meanwhile already in P7. And he's now moving away from XTXP, whose soft tires have already had the best moments of their lives and are no longer able to keep up the big pace that Polypunk has now. His title is currently safe. He needs to stay in P8 or higher if Alexander wins the race. And I think he knows that himself as well. Alexander is no longer able to close the gap as quickly anymore as he used to. as he knows he'll have to save the tires as well. Much in the meanwhile, still fighting with 4-door sedan for P3, and Big Turbina pretty much stuck in this battle. He'll not be very happy about that, and he's trying to go with the inside of 4-door sedan. It's not a very easy place to overtake here. But he'll have to try harder if he wants to at least somewhat stay with his teammate, who's already moved out more than 5 seconds away from him. Disaster, and meanwhile trying to stay with Big Turbina in the hope of salvaging some extra points for Alfa Romeo's. Undertaker has already fallen down to P9, with Kieran starting to close that gap. Kieran, by the way, leading a massive train all the way down to P14. And look at that, Big Turbina is finally starting to get the move done, and there he is into 4th place, and now trying to charge down much for 3rd place. Already within DRS range before the detection zone even happened, so that means he will not have to defend as hard, as he has that open front wing, rear wing as well. Disaster is trying to have a look at 4-door sedan, and he actually has a look at 4-door sedan and managed to get ahead of him into 5th place on the fresher hard tires, as the tires of 4-door sedan are really starting to fall off now, just like the tires of XTXP are. So Alpine in a bit of trouble if they want to score some points here tonight. Kieran in 9th at the moment, Super Nudelberg on P10, but he is being put under pressure by Grenade Goran, who just sees his title hopes disappear into the far, far distance. As it stands, he'll be moving down to 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship, So he'll have to go on a bit of a better charge if he wants to claim some extra points. And he does have a penalty as well. Yes, let's have a look at those penalties. It's just 3 seconds, so it's not all that much. Big Turbina in the meanwhile. Oh no, it's contact! I was about to say he moved ahead, but that's a dangerous position. Nearly taking out Polypunk and XTXP, with him being in the middle of the road. But as he tried to pass much into the 1st and 2nd corner, the Senna S's, he was pushed out of the track and now has to start all over again. A bit of cheering by Ferrari, at Ferrari most likely, as Grenade Goran has already made up a lot of places. He's suddenly in P8. He was in P11 half a lap ago, and now he's got points again. He's got 4 points, which is 14 points less than Alexander, who's 12 points behind him in the standings, so is currently not enough to stay within 2nd place in the drivers' standings. Big Turbina then, getting a big hit from Much, now fallen down to 7th place. I'm quite sure the FIA will have a look at that one, as this man will definitely not be pleased. We have a yellow flag, as we saw Mercedes just literally fly and cut some grass. It was either PW Jones or Kieran. That puts Fabry Flame into trouble there, as he's reset himself to the track. One of the Mercedes has reset themselves to the track. I don't know which one it was, but I'm quite sure that Fabry Flame isn't too happy about that, as we now see several driver movements in the pit lane. Kane has been in there, now fallen down to 7. That means now Alexander is leading the race, but crucially, Polypunk is back in 2nd. That is enough for him to claim the title. Let's switch back to the tire age, as there's not many drivers with penalties here in Brazil. The charge of Polypunk has worked wonders. Everybody in between himself and Alexander has made a pit stop now. So that means he's got some clear air for real to try and close the gap to Alexander once again. Of course, he knows his title is safe, as it's only a difference of 8 points unless Alexander has the fastest lap. But his comeback has worked so incredibly well. Grenade Goran also trying to get in that comeback. He's now in 6th place. That's 8 points. 25 for Alexander, though, means a 17-point deficit. And that means he'll lose 2nd place in the driver standings. As it stands, of course. In the meanwhile, Kane getting past Alberto Perez on his much fresher soft tires, which he'll keep until the end of the race, as there's only 11 of them remaining, including this lap. He'll be flying, this man, and soon he'll be pressurizing Grenade Goran for 6th place. And of course he will not hold back. He doesn't really care, most likely, about that title fight. And there he already is, already on the rear of Grenade Goran, who's already got 17 lap old hard tires, and those tires are slowly starting to age now. Look at the amount of grip here. The difference in grip is so noticeable, especially in that corner. Look at that. You would almost have a go in this right-hander here. Maybe he can try going around the outside here. Grenade really wants to get past as quick as he can to make the most of those soft tires. He's going to try and go around the outside here. But the Grenade Goran knows he'll have to fight for every point if he wants to keep second place in the driver's standings. I think he's pretty much put the title out of his head, unless something disastrous happens to Polypunk. But as it currently stands, the worst thing that can happen to Polypunk is that he loses second place to Disaster as he's pressurizing him. Big Turbina then back into fourth as XTXP heads into the pit lane. Kernay then moving ahead of Grenade Goran. Grenade Goran still sixth though, thanks to the pit stop of XTXP. So no big damage done, but he would have liked to gain a bit extra points there. But if Alexander wins, he will have to come in at least third if he wants to stay in second at the driver's title fight. And that is of course Grenade Goran I'm speaking about. Polypunk is still safe. He can even come home third. He can even come home eighth if he wants to. What looked like a disastrous evening for Polypunk and Grenade Goran has worked out well for Polypunk and not so well for Grenade Goran at the moment. As he's completely lost sight of Kane, who's absolutely flying and will most likely claim the fastest lap of the race. 7.8 seconds then, Polypunk still has to Alexander, but crucially, his nearest fighter for the podium, second place there, Disaster, is now no longer within DRS range. Much then going ahead, Super Noodle Bagel moving ahead of Much there in 8th place. He's still within the points. Will he be able to claim those first points at the end of the season? The last possible opportunity. Is that the opportunity where Super Noodle Bagel will claim those points? However, he's being pressurized by his teammate, who's having a go at the inside. But Super Noodle Bagel, yeah, he knows he can't do that much. Speaking of Much, without a T. Much is trying to go around the outside with the infinitely more grip that the fresh soft tire has, but Super Noodle Bagel pushing him in wide into the right-hander there, so Much is having to stay behind, and that allows PW Jones to close up. The only Mercedes currently in the points, with his teammate 1.8 seconds behind him at the moment. In the meanwhile, Alexander is being bothered by a lapped Ferrari. I think Tatsis is going to try and do everything to get past him in order to hold him up and make sure that Polypunk can close the gap even more. Speaking of which, Alexander just lost 0.8 of a second in one lap, so Polypunk is going berserk. Now he is going berserk. It was Alexander who was doing so earlier, but now he is, and in the meanwhile, Much finally able to move ahead of Super Noodle Bagel, who's immediately getting pressurized by PW Jones. Fortunately for him, he'll have the DRS, so he won't have to worry as much. Thing is though, PW Jones is really close. Is he gonna have a try? Doesn't look like it. Polypunk pushed hard, but he's losing time again now. Those tires are not the newest anymore. 7.3 seconds, lost 3/10 in the first sector and a half of lap 29. So I think he's gonna try and secure P2. Tats is doing everything he can to get past Alexander here, look at that. Just hoping to hold him up. Pit for softs, I don't think that will do him any good in terms of points. Yes, this might be a Max Ocon situation, although I doubt it. Look at this then, Kane already caught up to Big Turbina, trying to claim P4, and it looks like he'll do so with ease, as Big Turbina doesn't have a lot of defending with those 21 lap old medium tires. Those are going to give in pretty soon. He might be able to go for the fastest lap for Red Bull though. Yeah, he's flying, but that's mostly because he's got those very fresh tires. He's now trying to close up to Disaster and Polypunk crucially. Tats is now very close to the rear of Alexander. He really likes to get past that Red Bull and unlap himself just for the honors and just for his teammate. There he goes then. Is he going to have a go? That would be interesting to see Last Plaza overtaking first place. No, he's not trying. He's got to know he's left his wing off. Oh no! No, 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 don't tell me it happened. Super Noodle Bagel is out. Safety car, safety car. Oh dear. Oh dear. Grenade Goran immediately heads into the pit lane. He was at the perfect place to pit for a fresh set of tires. And he's lucky. Everybody behind is doing the same, so you might as well keep his position. Oh, well, what kind of final few laps will this be then? Deary me. I'm quite sure the entire top 3 will pit as well, and Kane then will come into the lead if he doesn't pit, that is. Super Noodle Bagel then will not score any points this season, and Alexander is allowing the Tatsis to get past. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. That means Tatsis is able to unlap himself and not get stuck behind the safety car and the leader. Yes, it's a safety car, Bitto. Oh dear, Tatsis is going exceptionally wide. Let's see what he will do. But see, much the entire field has pitted. The top 3 still has to do so. Will they though? Yes, Alexander. No! Alexander's staying out. So what will Polypunk do then? What will Disaster do? Staying out as... Oh dear. They're staying out as well. Big Turbina is pitting. He knows his tires are pretty much done for. Those meetings wouldn't last much longer there. Going for a fresh set of soft tires, and it looks like he'll only lose 1, maybe 2 places because of this. It looks like only 1 position. So Big Turbina having a big profit there. No points then for Super Noodle Bagel. That's such a shame. I completely jinxed him. You can all blame it on me, ladies and gentlemen. The commentator's curse has worked exceptionally well on Super Noodle Bagel tonight. So the top 3 then has decided to stay out on old hard tires. Everybody behind him has got much faster soft tires. Oh dear. Oh dear. It's going to be a massive sprint race. It's going to be an open lobby pretty much. Oh. Oh, that would be something, Noel. Bitto can't take it. Bitto just can't take the excitement anymore. Kane's gonna send it. Yeah, imagine that. Oh my god. This restart's going to be something. The safety car will probably come in next lap. Tatsis is currently standing in the pit lane quite a long while. I think he's gonna have a replacement front wing then. There he is, on his way again. Will you be able to stay ahead of the safety car? You already got 15 rounds of heart attacks. Poor you. Poor Bitto. Just a little thing though. Press F in the chat to pay your respects to Super Noodle Bagel for having the worst luck all season. And that's the least we can do for him. Thank you for joining in as well, Lucas and Kai. And Flynn. All the Fs are flying in the chat. And Sam. Nicely done there. I don't think the safety car is going to wait for Tatsis, otherwise there'll be too few laps to race. Plenty of Fs. Thank you, Noah, for joining in as well. So, what will the safety car do? Will he wait for Tatsis, or will he come in? I think it's best if the safety car comes in now. That would be wisest if I'm honest. Let's see what happens. We should get that at the end of Sector 2. The message of the safety car coming in. It isn't happening. He's waiting for Tatsis. So Tatsis, the luckiest man at the moment, is getting his chance to get back to the grid. There he is. Let's just follow him until he catches up. So that means we will have 3 laps. No. Yeah, no. 2 laps of racing. 2 laps of racing. Oh my god. It's lap... no, it's lap 33 now. I thought it was lap 34 going in now. So that's 3 laps of racing. Yeah. Well said. The wheel disconnected. Oh dear. Yeah, you are the unluckiest man, Super Noodle Bagel, but if you scroll up a little bit, we all paid a bit of respect in the chat by pressing F. In fact, I might just do so myself as well. There we have it. There we go. An F in the chat. There you go. It's for you, Super Noodle Bagel. I really wanted you to get points, but I just cursed you with a commentator's curse. And the chat can confirm that. Sorry. Can you get fastest lap during safety car? I doubt it. Yeah, see, 2 laps. We were correct. Tess is going slow to help Polly. Yeah, I'm 100% positive the safety car will come in now, so you can try, but it won't work any longer. There we go, safety car in this lap. So the top 3 then on 25 lap, all hard tires with the entire field behind them on pretty much fresh softs, with the exception of Kane and Much, whose tires are now 8 laps old, but they have been able to save it for 3 laps. So here we go then, the final restart, 3rd safety car of the race. And this is the moment you've all been waiting for. If Polypunk manages to take himself out or get taken out by somebody else and ends outside of the top 10, that's Alexander crowned as the champion. If both of them get taken out, it might just be Grenade Goran who's hanging around in P8. Here we go. It is, off he goes then. Alexander, away he goes. Got a great restart. Polypunk behind it. Looks like they're both going safe through turn 1 there, as Disaster was temporarily being pressurized by Kane. But it looks like all of them got through in one piece. I think both of them were exceptionally careful. But Disaster, how long can he keep Kane behind him? Already he's going side by side on the 2nd straight, but no ability to get past him just yet. Big Turbina trying to go around the outside of XTXP, but that worked out horribly wrong, as now he's fallen down another place as Grenade Goran claims 7th place. He's trying everything to get back up as high as he possibly can. This man's got it all to do now. Polypunk is safe. Alexander is currently in 2nd for the drivers, but Grenade Goran is having to do it all. He's going to have to pass as many cars as he possibly can in these 2 laps. Actually, 1.5 lap remaining of this race. Alexander is pulling away, but the title is slipping through his fingers as Polypunk is still sitting in 2nd place. Kane then is going to have a go at Disaster into the 1st corner. His battery is now pretty much used. Both of their batteries are used. All of the batteries are used as we had to do the final lap of Tier 4 season here in 2021. Kane then having to cut the corner a little bit and being pressurized. Oh, he's lost it! Both Much and Kane lost it, and oh, more Disaster on the final lap of the race as Alberto is out. And Fabry Flame as well. 3 cars taken out of the race. Much is technically still in, but good lord, what an absolute insane final lap there at the center of the grid. The only thing that Alexander and Polypunk had to do was bring it home. The others had to do the same, but they were not able to do that. That's absolutely terrible for them. Grenade Goran now in 5th place, so that's a bit of luck for him then. Will he be able to pass XTXP? Currently 15 points behind Alexander. If he claims another place, he'll still not be able to stay in 2nd place, so you have to pass both of the cars ahead of him. But ladies and gentlemen, if that happens, I'm afraid I cannot show you because we have to film here the winner of the race, Alexander. But here we have him, the champion of Tier 4, Polypunk, winning the title here tonight in Brazil. Disaster coming home 3rd, still on those hard tires. XTXP was not able to get past there. He was very close to doing so, coming home in 4th, and Grenade Goran then with a penalty falling down to 8th place. He lost 2nd place of the driver's title tonight. No Disaster today indeed. finally. Disaster then claiming the final podium spot. Well done. What a race, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely insane. And there he comes then, galloping onto the top step, knowing he didn't win the title, but they did win the Constructors title. Red Bull then claiming the Constructors title for Tier 4 tonight. But the winner is there, spraying champagne onto the race winner, the champion of Tier 4, Polypunk. There he is. Disaster then completing the podium, and he'll be very, very satisfied with this race as he was able trying to keep P7 safe. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Big Turbina in the end, P5. Both Mercedes having done a great race, P6 and 7 there, after having not such great restarts earlier. P10 then for Kane. Blind in 11th, Tatsis P12, Undertaker in P13, Much then fallen out to P14 in the final lap due to a disastrous crash. Alberto Perez and Fabio Flame technically retiring, but 1 lap down, classified as such, and 4 official retirements in this race. Super Noodle Bagel, Helium, Trixam and Lars. And that's about it. The season is now officially over. But before we completely end the stream, of course, we'll be having some interviews. I hope all 3 of them will join us in the interview waiting room, especially, of course, well, actually, I'd like to see all 3 of them. I'd like to hear from Disaster and his first podium, well, at least his first podium in a long time, that is. I have to like to hear from Alexander winning the race, but not winning the title tonight, and Polypunk having that epic comeback. But first and foremost, we have to speak to the race winner, as I now unmute myself and unmute Alexander. Well, Alexander, there's 2 things I'd like to say to you. Congratulations and commiserations, both at the same time, for winning the race and not winning the title. How does that feel?
I mean, it's nothing more I could have done this race. I did my best and I won it. I mean, first place is nothing more. But I'm really gassed about the Constructors Championship, and I know all Red Bull drivers in every tier will be really happy today.
Yep, you did win the Constructors title, yes, so congratulations to that one for you. Several things happened during the second restart, where you 3, the title contenders that is, were right behind one another. Polypunk and Grenade Goran spun out of the first corner. Did you see anything of that, or were you involved in one way or another? Because we didn't catch that.
I didn't catch it either. I was really focused on the restart because I wanted to get a good restart and I didn't want Polypunk to overtake me. But then I remember hearing a crash and then I just watched at the leaderboard and they was gone. And at that point I was like, shit, I can win this. But yeah, Polypunk is an amazing driver and he really deserves the championship.
Yeah, you were able to drive to P1 after you saw the crash happening. That must have surged some adrenaline through your blood there.
Yeah, of course. I was scared the whole race, not gonna lie. From the beginning to... I didn't want to do any mistakes today, and I didn't. It was hard though. This track is not the best track for close racing or comfortable racing. So when you're stuck in that DRS train or stuck behind drivers, you're really scared to get past them, maybe break a wing.
Alright, so there you have it then. You did claim P2 in the Drivers' Championship because of Grenade Goran finishing in 8th. So there's that then. So that's the end of the season. In hindsight, how do you look back on it overall?
I mean, it's been a good season. I think I came here... I was a reserve driver here first, so I think I missed 5 races actually.
Wow.
And so still managing to get P2, you know, it's nothing to complain about. And it's been, the first races was, I remember Italy, it was a disaster. I got completely taken out, and then I just worked my way up and I built my confidence. And I think, I probably got most pole positions as well, and that's also a really good thing to have. And I'm looking forward for the next season.
Yeah, another interesting fact is that you're also tied on wins with Polypunk this season. So next year, will we see you again, and in which tier?
Around tier 2, maybe, I would say. Tier 2 or tier 3. But so yeah, I'm really looking forward. You know, this has been a great season. A lot of fun driving with these guys. but yeah, it's time to move on to compete against faster drivers.
All right. Thank you so much for racing this season in Tier 4. I really enjoyed watching you and your absolutely qualifying, your beastish qualifying performance. That was absolutely awesome. You enjoy and deserve your break there. Happy holidays, and well, we'll see you next year.
Yeah, you too, man. Have a good
Cheers.
Christmas and New Year's.
All right. Before we move on to our Drivers' Champion, let's go to Disaster. There he is then, Disaster. I have so often said in the chat that you have several disasters every single race, but here you are on the podium in the final race. How does that feel?
Yes, we won't count our chickens because there was a little incident on the last lap that I didn't really get a good view of behind me. So we'll say provisional P3 pending any stewards inquiries. But if it is P3, it's great. I haven't had a podium since Monza, and I can't even remember when that was. Back when I had a chance of winning the Drivers' Championship. And then I think you started commentating, and then all my fucking luck just left. Sorry for swearing, but yeah. Today I'm pleased. It was a good race, good long race. I was panicking a little bit at the last couple of laps because I knew Kenai would be really, really fast and wanting to get past me. But hopefully it was clean enough. But yeah, it's good. Congratulations to Polypump. Well deserved.
Yeah, it was hard to see who did what exactly there during that final lap, as it all happened very quickly. But you must have felt some very hot breath down your neck as you were on very old hard tires, and the entire field behind you was on fresher softs.
Yeah, I mean, I know Kenai and the car behind were on 7-lap old soft, something like that, but the guys behind, those guys were on fresh softs. And I knew there was no DRS. It was just a case of just using ERS in the straights, trying not to bin it on the corners, and hope for the best. And I think into turn 1, into turn 2, I know Kenai went up my right-hand side, but I didn't see him on my screen. I don't know how close he was, how far up he was, but he ended up filtering in behind me and then colliding with the car behind him. So we'll have a look at the replay and see what happened. But yeah, it was good race. Good season. Good first season in MRL. Hopefully I'll be back next season. Don't know what tier I'll be in, but be looking forward to it.
All right, hopefully we will see you again next year. But for now, enjoy your final podium in the final race, and happy holidays, and see you next year.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.
See ya. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and now the moment you have been waiting for. It has come at long last. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, your Tier 4 Drivers' Champion. The man who finished second today, who had to make a massive comeback after the spin with Grenade Goran and maybe several other drivers. Polypunk, you are the Drivers' Champion of Tier 4. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I still don't know what to say. I wanted a quiet race, but
Yeah, you got everything but a quiet race.
yeah, I think I pulled a battle. It was 2011, 2012. The same thing, the same corner. I was kind of lucky. No one crashed into me. And then I don't know how I did it. I just pushed and pushed. I don't know how I found the pace with the hearts, but in the end worked fine for me.
Yeah, it worked brilliantly for you because Grenade Goran wasn't able to keep up with your pace after that restart. Take us through that accident a little bit because Grenade Goran spun out as well. Was there contact? Did you lose the car? Were the tires cold? What happened?
I mean, could be lag. I don't know. I just brake normally where I always brake there. And Grenade just crashed into me. I don't know. Maybe I was lagging. I don't know. I still don't know what happened. Maybe I will ask him, but it's fine.
All right, so there you are then, the champion of Tier 4. You were pretty fast this season. If you look back at all the 15 races, what would be your biggest highlight?
Probably today, because that comeback was massive. I didn't expect that, but also first race when it was Bahrain, I took pole and I was P1 the entire race. I just was the fastest, and that felt very good. And the rest, I don't know. I had a lot of mistakes, kind of. Some races I lost positions because of desync, and I will never forget the Hungary, of course.
Yes.
That was very very bad, but I don't know. I'm pretty happy.
All right, so let's have a little look forward to next year. We do know that several drivers will probably change tiers. Where might we see you?
I was talking to Disaster and Alexander. Maybe tier 3. I still don't know if I'm racing. Maybe I had enough. I still don't know. I need time to think about it.
Yeah, of course, because first you need to enjoy this championship win. So many congratulations to you. Well done. It's absolutely been a pleasure to watch you and the other drivers, of course, racing throughout at least the final half of the season for me commentating there. So enjoy your break, enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you next year in whatever tier.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, does conclude this final stream of the year of Season 5 of Tier 4 in the Misfits Racing League. Of course, later this evening, in the middle of the night for you, in the evening for the Americas, there will be the American Tier 2 season, followed by Tier 3, the American Tier 1, Tier 2, and then finishing off this year in style with Tier 1. And that will also conclude my Tier 4 commentary for this season. Of course, I'm hoping to be back for next season in wherever they require me. I do hope you enjoy the commentary this season. I certainly really enjoyed Tier 4 racing everywhere. It was absolutely epic and amazing to see the close fights, the crashes, the drama, everything that happened on track, the comebacks of several drivers they've made, the fights for both titles, which went all the way into the final rounds with three drivers, in fact, trying to fight for that title. And it almost looked like Alexander was going to pinch it in the final race tonight. It all wasn't to be, though, and Polypunk turned out to be the champion with Alexander behind him and Grenade Goron fallen down to third after two pretty bad races in a row. But there you are. That will conclude this season. Thank you so much for joining in. You will still hear from me this Thursday, but if I will not hear from you this Thursday, I wish you a very happy holiday season. Hopefully you can enjoy it together with family, friends as much as possible in these strange and troubled times with all kinds of weird and stupid viruses dwelling around us. But other than that, have a good one. Have a great night, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, and I will see you next time. Good night.